So we have some time here now to play a little, to dance a little with where you're at in life, and perhaps to touch in on some of the areas that are in need of clarification or purification or whatever else. Can you all hear me? Okay. So actually I want you guys to be equally active in this engagement. Because as such, actually, I could just go to the pool with you. I could go and just play and have a good time with you guys. But this conference basically is for that invitation to touch and investigate areas. So let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. We may need like a microphone going around or something. Okay. Yeah. So if you have anything on your tongue, I invite you to put your hand up. There's one there. Yeah, I figure, Zaya, could you close the doors? Yeah, thank you. Right in front of you, yes.
What does it mean to be one with the womb?
With that?
With the womb.
What does it mean to be one with the womb? Yeah. So basically in our discovery of the feminine essence, we as consciousness travel down and in. So in our coming down into the body, we are like filling the belly. And inside of that, we can make the backdrop in through the womb. The opening of the womb is actually that which leads and opens to like an array of like different, I could say like portals of wisdom inside of the human body. So the more that we give up our navigation on mind, or even our attachment to realization on other levels, the more space there is for us to drop in and actually come to rest in there. You see, when we rest there, we are, for one, we're out of control. We are enthralled in humility. We are in deep acknowledgement of reality as fully inclusive of this. So this whole neti thing, it kind of goes out the window, because it's like when there isn't any longer any separation between being and this and matter, then actually that coming into matter, it's like waves flushing in and just opening and opening and opening and opening. Yeah, so that happens through that womb. So you see, when we come in as love, which doesn't include our sexuality, then we have the mother, yeah? It's the mother. All of it is the mother. But the mother aspect can either be devoid of that sexuality or fully inclusive of that sexuality. And when it's inclusive of that sexuality, it means that consciousness has blossomed all the way into the genitals, has cleaned and cleansed out all of those aspects, which becomes this manipulation of life, manipulation of existence. And right there, from that womb, comes those waves of the feminine, But the feminine right there is not just a mother, she's a woman. So it includes deep, deep integrity, deep human integrity, deep integrity to the feminine wisdom. Yeah. So being one with the womb is basically equal to not having an identity which contracts down here and affects your way of life as consciousness. It's equal to coming in as that consciousness, to open that womb and to deeply connect both backwards into that source of life, that eternal wave of black light, which is her, which is woman with a big W, which is the deep dark feminine. And then from there, to not even stop at that, it's not only about that backdrop, but allowing the depth of exhale, the depth of merging with that essence to reflect itself also into our humanness, to reflect itself deeply into our very outer layers, which includes like every cell of your body. But it isn't just about the drop in and back, but also about the integration of that essence into your living, breathing flesh. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Can I add something to it?
Mm-hmm.
So how is that for men? Like, is what you
Can
speak?
we turn? Okay, one second. Yes. Oh.
If you don't mind, take it over, I can adjust the mic.
No, I will. Yeah, take it off. Sorry about that. And can we also have her microphone turned up, because I can basically hear myself very well and her not so much.
I can just speak louder.
Hey. Ouch!
That's
Wait.
just me.
Okay. Ow. Okay. So, what are you saying?
Is there a difference to the process whether you're in a female body or in a male body? You know, that dropping,
Yeah.
how much is it linked to having physically a womb?
There is a difference and there is no difference. There is a difference in the sense that the feminine essence in all of us awaits to be born. There is a difference in the sense that the woman's deepest resting place is in the center of that womb. And that the birth of that, our birth into that, is exactly what will allow for a turning of everything in a way where the masculine also comes into his feminine essence. And when I say feminine essence, it isn't that it's like that the men become women, it's just that they become also that depth of wisdom, that depth of feeling, which is natural to a woman, I would say. So the woman's center power point is there. The man's is there. In a way, you could say he's dropping from nothing into love, but she's dropping from love into earth. And that doesn't mean that men can't drop into earth, it just means that, as such, women has a little jump start on that, because we're already closer to our feelings than to nothing. Yeah. If it makes a difference, it makes a big difference in the sense that we also, as men and women, we have a different wiring right now. We are meeting the reality that we have, all of us, co-created a reality where our meeting with power is equal, or it's filled to the brim with pain, to say it straight. it is distorted, it is twisted. And it means that we have... Okay, let's keep the door open then. Keep the door open. Yeah. It's distorted and it's twisted because it holds our connection in with power has been deeply enveloped in the reality of our abuse, our manipulations, rather than our surrender. That we've been walking with the masculine part of us, men as women, and actually have suppressed and, I would say, kind of built up the entire planet based on safety from her, in a way. And we've deeply removed ourselves from our human nature in that. And due to this, there is a lot of pain that we're waiting actually to transcend here. To say it straight, we are a very broken species. As human beings, we are broken. And at that center of our brokenness, which actually consists in and as the reality of our separation between our man and our woman inside. Thank you. It's kind of better. Yeah. That division between our masculine and our feminine, it creates, or actually between us as consciousness and that depth, the earth, and being as the feminine, as that wisdom. The separation there has led and is leading this world at large. So to come in, to come truly in, we have to admit to our state of being. And as minds, we cannot do that. As consciousness, we can come into the compassion that we need to grow into a wholeness as human beings. But we cannot do this as minds. We cannot speculate our way to this. We can only come to this through a full agreement to feel. Yeah. So inside of everything that needs to take place here, there is a difference between men and women in the sense that men has one set of feelings that they need to meet, to acknowledge and come to feel, and women has another in addition to actually needing to meet the entire bulk of pain, the pain which has arisen from our manipulation. Yeah. How does that feel?
Thank you.
How does that feel?
For most of us men, we first have to open our heart, which is the most difficult. Now you are telling us that we have to open our heart and plunge even further down. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. There is a surrender there to being the love which is needed here. And to say it straight, it is painful. It's painful because our reality, our human reality, is painful. So it's not because it's painful for us to open our hearts, because we all have the capacity to do that. We can all do that. Where we get in the disagreements with things is when we have to face the fact of what is here. And it keeps most of us in our heads. Because, then at least we don't have to feel that. At least we don't have to cry the tears. And in a way, it's sad. It's sad for everything. Because I must say that one thing is leading our lives based on good ideas and moving on what we're attracted to from a wanting kind of place rather than a pure will kind of place. But those movements are also what is deeply disconnected, what is deeply like clashing up against what is actually needed here. There's just something much more real called for from us. And we can run around in these ideas of following, like focusing on our own realization or whatever. And meanwhile, I mean, Jesus, look, look. The depth of feeling is really waiting to be taken fully into account as a part of our responsibility as being humans. It's wonderful to make love with our minds. It's wonderful. But I must say that in terms of living as human beings, there is something completely different waiting the moment that we as consciousness, that our masculine, agrees fully to come in, be present with, and rest to the bottom of our feminine. From that moment on, it's like our love is the protector of our feminine. And right there, it becomes the protector of the feminine. And to say it, I mean, it doesn't sound extremely attractive, but I don't like to sugarcoat it. I don't like to. Because to actually face it, it's not fun. And I'm guessing most of you kind of got the feeling by now that actually that part of coming in and coming down, it's not like fun. But the fun part matters a lot less than the answer of dedication and of commitment and of devotion to what is needed now. Needed in the world, yes, but needed for you. Needed in you. From that place, when we as consciousness fully agree to love the feminine in whatever she is, when your body realizes that you are here as love and you're here to stay, that you're not leaving, she will go like this. And life from a place of a body open to love, open to God, open to reality. A life led from there is deeply different than the life where there is a constant attempt at bargaining to try and keep yourself safe. To live in that wholeness of that agreement rather than the masculine coming in, the feminine still being in her retraction, like the body being closed from actually being left over and over and over and over again. And when she's not left, she's manipulated, like as if the masculine comes to fix her. What if that manipulation goes? What if love comes to stay? Where it's not important what she looks like, if she's opening now or in 3 years, where it doesn't matter if she's like this or like, it doesn't matter. Just to love her without this preference of, oh, now I'm welcome, oh, then I'm here, now I'm not welcome, okay, bye. When you come in as that love, when you agree to be here as that love, there is nothing left but the feminine's full and gradually gaining trust towards you as consciousness. Yeah. And I know it's a gift for everything, of course, but I must say that the biggest gift is towards you. You as this. There is nothing that the human body longs for more than love. Nothing. So the more that we can give up that arrogance and come to the gaze, come to it, the better, the less time wasted, the less time spent bargaining or trying to keep yourself from feeling, from being present inside of your nervous system. A few hands. Where is the microphone? It's there.
I'm curious if you can offer some practical tools or even just some case studies, some experiences you've had, especially in one-on-one, where one person is bargaining and you're trying to shift the dynamic into a feeling rather than from the mind. But obviously, can't do that through the mind, right? So do you have some very specific examples day to day or tools?
Yeah.
Because I find myself in that position where I want to shift a dynamic, but sometimes me feeling isn't enough. It's not always effective. So how can I shift that?
Okay, for one, we have the fact that your insistence as love does everything. Your sturdiness and your strength as love makes the whole difference. From that point on, when you say this, like you talk about a specific situation, there is this, when you choose to become real, and now you're talking about tools, but I would like to take the whole tool thing and like toss it over, because it's not about techniques and it's not about tools, it's about commitment. It's about daring to be naked. It's about daring to meet the rawness of the pain which is existent in the equation. And it's about a willingness to be vulnerable. I don't know anyone who doesn't respond to vulnerability when it's in front. And it actually comes because, well, it seems to me, it's kind of new, it's only been like the last 6 months or something for me, but it seems to me that the moment that you give up the inner fight, the moment that your marriage happens internally, then actually all of the bickering, all of the disagreement between masculine and feminine, it disappears out here as well. Because it seems to me that the only reason that we get into these is simply because we aren't in that surrender. Because it takes two poles to get into a discussion. And actually there's nothing to discuss, because there's never anything that we can say that matters more than our willingness to feel each other. So in a way I could say disagreement happens when there is acknowledgement, when there is like lack of acknowledgement of the pain which is present in the equation. When there is like a sticking to that which is like my pain and your pain. Like, this is yours. It's kind of like take care of that yourself and then like come back when you're perfect. What the fuck? It's not how it goes. It's not how this goes. Yeah. The authority of love outshines everything else. And that means that when you are speaking the truth, whomever is in front of you will have no discussion. And that comes down to whether you are surrendered in that moment. You cannot respond truthfully if you at the same time are closing yourself off from the pain of the other, right? At the same time, you cannot be truthful if you are denying your own pain. So in that sense, you need to let go of that which is constantly trying to pick itself up from or trying to avoid pain. I don't even know how it happened. How did pain become like an enemy? Because what is my experience is that our acknowledgement of surrender, of trust, means that actually there isn't a preference of feeling. Joy is not when I'm like this and not when I'm like this. Joy is the underlying factor beneath everything I am. So whether my human being is in this kind of mood or that kind of mood, whether there's grief passing or giggles, it's all the same thing. It's all a part of the same package. It's all a part of her. So coming to love ourselves as human being doesn't mean, okay, I like this feeling, this feeling, this feeling. I don't like this one and this one and this one and this one. This is where the identity arises, the identification which shuts out, which separates us from her, from the essence of her, and also separates us from each other. And to say it straight, there is no need for all of this separation. We just need to be able to feel and acknowledge the feeling of complete overwhelm when we reach our limit. We need to be able to feel our complete helplessness when we cut off down here from life. We need to be willing to feel and acknowledge all of our ugly faces and to be able to accept them. Accept them as, oh, another passing train. Without the self-judgment, without taking the response to the face that we can get from the outside, without taking it personally. But come into a sphere where there is total acceptance of everything that we are. I don't know if that makes for a tool, but
Yes.
yeah. In front of you.
Hi, thank you. I'm really enjoying this. It's very powerful for me. I felt like you were speaking to me directly, almost, like a direct transmission. My current relationship is, I say troubled in some ways, where I have that kind of like pull away, I love you, I pull away. It's been kind of going on for a couple of years. I'm like, this isn't working. I really need to and we're kind of at the point where I'm not sure I'm going to stay with it. And part of it is just our general compatibility as far as energy levels, and it's my ability to have intense emotional conversation, which is a little limited, or more limited than I'd like it to be. She's all about that. And so we get a lot of talks that are very uncomfortable and painful for me. And I tend to kind of shut off emotionally. And I'm wondering, where's the line of just loving somebody unconditionally and being with them and fully accepting them and not getting to where you're just being annoyed, like you're not peaceful regularly. I feel like I'm in a not peaceful state a lot of the time because I'm just kind of annoyed. I feel kind of annoyed a lot when I'm with her. So I'm wondering where the line is, where a relationship is just not compatible, and when it's like you should just kind of suck it up and love them anyways.
Well, basically, I can say that the extent to which you grow into silence is the extent to which you also grow that container of compassion, which is able to be present. You are also a human being at the same time, so there may be some limit to your Yes?
Yeah. I'm very good at being like silent and present. That's actually one of my strengths in the relationship. She's always like, "Why don't you talk more?" You know. So that's actually one of our things is just she wants to talk and process more, and you know.
Well, I'd say there are different aspects to this. One of them being that sometimes, to say it straight, the woman needs to be given a shh. She doesn't like it. But sometimes it's best for her. Because she has endless capacity, endless energy to run into the circling that she can do in her own emotion. And right there, it can often become like in the mix-up with mind speaking and all of this, it can become something which is actually trying to get rid of the love which is present. Do you understand? So in that moment, what she needs is to become quiet and to drop. Because we use our speech a lot. We use our talking a lot. And that talking is not always rooted in our deepest selves, huh? But this is where we need to take responsibility for ourselves. And inside of that, we can allow for an integrity-filled response with whomever or whatever we're with. And that doesn't mean like forcing a power on someone else. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you quiet yourself, just like I responded here, that in terms of if there is this like ball back and forth, if you step into your vulnerability, it kind of like someone throws a ball at you. If you don't catch it, it will be gone. It won't be running back and forth. So it's only to the extent that you agree to keep playing ball that she can keep going. To the extent that you agree to not be the someone listening that she can pour into as some kind of unending processing, because she's not supposed to. That's not what you're there for. You're not like a notebook of hers, you know? So somewhere inside of that, there is an invitation to every part taking responsibility, but it always starts with ourselves. So how does this shh towards the woman go? It goes through you centering yourself inside the shh. Because when you do that, it will immediately unplug that which is feeding on this. You understand?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know how. Like a lot of times I feel like kind of like a deer in the headlights, like frozen when I'm hitting or in like a deeply emotional conversation. So how would you suggest kind of unplugging from that and coming back to my center?
That is equal to being present with the true feeling. Emotionality is kind of like this. It's like waves on the ocean. What we can do together is invite into the depth of that ocean. Because at the depth of that ocean, there are feelings that we're not willing to meet. There are feelings that we need to meet. So the shh is not about unplugging from being in that together or opening that together. It's about you in like the masculinity of the straightness of your essence. Like sharpening inside yourself into the shh without disconnecting, but becoming so quiet that you pierce right through to the feeling of that which is going in. You see?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but you can't do that if you at the same time are unwilling to feel what's there.
Yeah, it's challenging.
So when you agree to feel yourself deeper, she automatically will also. she will crack in a different way. And there will be a lot less to discuss.
I'll try it. Thank you.
Okay, a last note. This about the woman needing a shh. It's not about men and women. It's about the fact that in our own selves, when we are not completely, deeply, honestly feeling to the bottom, that shh we need to give to ourselves. Because when we do give that to ourselves, then that is also manifested in front of us. It all comes down to you. And even with that said, it's not all human beings that fit together. I just want to say it. Or people fit together for a period where they serve each other, and then they have served the purpose together. And then, again, it takes surrender to let the paths also. It can be actual commitment to let go of relationship. That can be the deeper commitment. Yeah. Just want to put that in there also because of the paradoxical nature of all of this. Yeah. Someone else with a microphone, yes.
I would like to share something. In my experience, I discovered that love fully and deeply, at the same time I need to let my heart break. So,
can you? Thank you.
When I love fully and deeply, at the same time I need to let my heart break. So,
yes,
one doesn't go without the other, and
no.
It hurts always, but it's bearable and it's sweet. And when I forget to let my heart break, or it's not a doing in the mind, but just not remembering, it started to hurt more.
Yes.
When my heart is not breaking, and and I thank you for reminding me again to let my heart break right in this moment, and in the moment before, and the next moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very significant part as well. That willingness to let the heart break open. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so bloody literal. It's really like the whole setup here is meant to break our hearts. How are we then blaming each other for hurting or breaking each other in that sense? Because we are meant to break open. We are meant to open ourselves to love and not to close up again, but to keep on standing wide open, simply. We are meant to commit ourselves fully, to let those limitations, those edges be passed, and passed and past. And we do prize ourselves on living a life with the individuality which we, in a way, say to be colored by our limitations rather than our true beings. Yeah. But there is so much more waiting for us. There's a growing beyond all of these games of self-protection and trying to keep it together. Gosh, it's a bloody playground, this. It's not supposed to be like moving around on survival. It's just not. But the gift of that expanse and of living the true nature of our surrender, it's not at all available to us as long as we're denying our own state of being. Something completely new and completely different awaits. And I must say, it's a lot more fun than the other version. Yeah. You know, our honesty is everything. Our honesty with ourselves is everything. And it's not just equal to it's not just equal to being honest in the sense of moving on what we find to be right or sticking with that whole right and wrong thing. There's something much deeper awaiting, and it requires our investigations. It requires our willingness to feel. Like really, I cannot say this enough. And that willingness to feel, we are so scared of it. We are so scared of it. Because it's a threat. It's a threat to that identity and that control. But we can either live our lives based in this idea of free will, or we can surrender and let life live ours. And it's not going to be the way you think, because to say it straight, you can't even imagine what life has in store for you if you stop hanging on. Is it scary sometimes? Yes. Is it painful sometimes? Yes. Is it hot? Yes. Is it filled to the brim with passion? Yes. Is it not a moment wasted? Yes. Is it meeting your highest potential and your deepest? Yes. Can you imagine being the most, can you imagine if the most ordinary version of you was also the most brilliant version of you? What if those two ends meet? What if there isn't spiritual and conventional? What if there is only you, truth, being, love, and your humanity all in one embrace? Your vulnerability and your divinity in one. Your emptiness and your fullness in one. Pure intelligence, truth in form. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Oh shit. Wait, we have until 1, right? We have until 1? Okay, good. Can we have the microphone that way? Yeah.
Can I ask? You just were talking about it and almost answer my question.
Can you take your thing
Yeah.
off?
The fear is so deep to be real and open and be myself. It's not mental, it's on the body level. And I have a glimpse of be real and be myself and fully expressed when I am, sometimes it's without any psychedelics, but mostly it's with help of ayahuasca or something else, when I'm completely, I can drop and completely relax and be myself. But in life, without any help, it feels like I have a layers and layers and layers of protection. And I don't know how to shed them off. It's not mental. I understand what you're saying, but on a body level, it's not happening.
You need to take full responsibility for the fear in you. Because fear is the reaction that you are having when you meet truth. And rather than being honest about the fear and allowing yourself compassion to be afraid, to stay present with yourself even when you're afraid. There's no way that truth can take you there. All of these twists around the fact of the bare-boned being. The moment you meet it, you get afraid, you look away. Your vision gets blurred. You can see it when you look at me. And that's the same as not wanting reality. And that means that you need to meet that in you, which is in that resistance. And there is a feeling at the bottom of that. The feeling is fear. So arriving as love right there equals to being compassionate with being afraid and allowing the death that happens around that contraction, which is the someone fearful. When that gives in, there's life. There's the core. There's reality. But shedding the layers, you can work forever on this self-improvement business. If you don't change your relationship with the core of it all, if you don't change your relationship with the truth, you'll just be moving boxes around. I understand that it scares you because it reduces you to nothing. But you have to be nothing for life to be fully the case. You have to acknowledge the reality of nothing also for that life which happens and arises and becomes the wholeness of the human being, not to be deeply identified within the body identification. So no matter how much we can talk about embracing and all of this, it needs to go hand in hand also with an honest meeting with that core of silence. And that's not about a head and a body, because it's you have to experience yourself as that silence through your entire being. You have to be willing to surrender this form to that silence, just as much as you have to be willing to surrender that form to life and the movement. But life and death, they're like this. You can't just say one without the other. Or in case you do, I can guarantee you it will be deeply distorted down the road. That was it. Actually, we had someone over here who put their hand up. I'll come to you after.
Okay.
Wait, there was a woman. Did you turn into a man?
They said I was first.
Okay. Just kidding.
You see, now lately when you talked about contraction and fear, it's an example of the basis for my question. Don't you think that men and women have equal difficulties to connect to feelings?
I'd say we've all gone through so many adjustments over so many lives that we have attained capacity and ability both ways. In terms of, we have already had the experience within ourselves as consciousness somewhere down the line, whether we have male or female bodies now, for us to have it. So in that sense, it's the same and it's not the same.
I really wonder if this the language of men and women aren't just a stepping stone to come into the deeper problems of anyone, whether man or woman, child or old, to connect to love, to fear, to anything. I work as a psychotherapist, and my experience doesn't have to be a model. It doesn't have to be the truth. But in long-term therapies, over years or even decades, I don't see that there is any particular difference between the men and women that I meet to connect to feelings.
I must say, though,
that's my experience.
Yeah. I must say, though, that something which is out of that equation there, I mean, now this becomes very mental, so it's a little bit boring, but
it's okay.
In a way, I would say that what you're saying there is missing the link up with the essence.
I think it's equally difficult for men and women.
I mean, I must admit that it doesn't really matter whether it's difficult or not. The task is the same.
And the problems, I think, is the same. But that was a question to you, because my experience isn't that my experience, in a more positive way of saying it, my experience is that the problems are more to be present to whatever arises, and that's the same problem for each individual. And in a sense, I feel that you confirm it, because in the long run, when you talk more, much more, but you might have another opinion. But I think that you talk much more on a general level, which suits anyone. But you start now and then with a distinction, male and female. Okay. Thank you.
My question is just about how to authentically overcome and let go of past pain. And is it necessary to, based on past experience, to maintain a certain level of protection against the same occurrence?
That's a good question. In my experience, it seems to me that there is a learning which happens through being, a learning which aligns the feelings and the thoughts and our actions and our speech according to our level of integration in a way which aligns both our human experience with the depth of our recognition. It's kind of like source and the body goes like this, and source in itself is endless, but the human is that which has the experiences. But inside of that, my experience is that the vehicle itself gets educated to deeper and deeper levels of wisdom in a way where the operation, it changes according to our human experience. So in a way you could say that in one way I'd say that I know absolutely nothing, and I'd say I'm new in every moment. So in that sense I don't really know anything. But that doesn't mean that that I carry that out, which is the same thing I did like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, so 30 years ago. It's almost like life in its totality just brings forth a new and different way, which seems determined by the wisdom brought home into my being. So I can't even make the distinguishing between my being and being itself. It's like I can't really say what is where in a way. And at the same time, I can't really make a distinction between my being and my human being, because what ends and begins where? So in that sense, it's kind of like I have like the personal experience, and then it's flown into like the collective experience, which then is like straight into being. And this is also why in the whole unraveling of myself is this, that I've basically had to go through, and that it's not just about my pain, that there has been like a passing through my pain of that which could be at all identified, but then just a keeping on going, like just basically passing all of that limitation which is around the ability to be that wide open so as to feel the entirety of the collective also. Of course, that also means like the pain of the collective also has to be, you know? Yeah.
Is there a solution for that collective pain?
Is there a what?
A solution.
Is there a solution? Yes, it all has to be felt. Basically. I mean, what do we do as humans? We move around in this like trying to fix kind of thing. And that's exactly like problem thinking, problem solution. But that is very erroneous. It's not about there is a problem and it needs to be solved. It's about this is the state of things right now. This is what needs to be felt. And we're not doing it for a better world or a better anything. We're doing it because this is compassion. This is what's here. This is what's real. This is what's naked. This is the deal. Yeah.
There's no need for protection from pain.
No. No, it doesn't seem like that to me. What I do acknowledge, though, is that there is a growing, that aspect when we're feeling pain, that our capacity to love there, where that pain is being felt, that we don't take responsibility from each other. You understand? It's like to be able to be with this on a straight and grounded level. It's kind of like the dance that we have together in our relating is also that invitation which doesn't allow for unseen pain to remain unseen. Do you understand what I just said?
No, I'm not sure I do.
Okay, so I have learned inside of my own being to, I don't need pointers to whatever, because my eye is so trained in that direction. But for other people, that's not the case. So to the extent now I'm speaking about it because you said this about like protection from pain. And it's like in the integrity, in the center of the integrity, there is also that which in our collective like field constantly invites things to get more and more and more straight. Here, there, here, there, here, there. And in a way I'd say our straightness is our protection from pain. Because it's not the protection from pain, it's that protection which stops things from spinning on top of pain and brings things to their real deal. And that's not a protection from pain, but it's a protection of love and of our deepest, of reality between us. And it's that which comes when you surrender your speech, for instance. Because in that moment you will say that which needs to be said. If you give up controlling your speech, if you give up not saying that which will actually which needs to be said, which will send the other one straight into their pain, which they are avoiding. You know? Yeah. So there's like no tippy-toeing. It's simply, and it's not about being hard either. It's about being in that full meeting. It's about daring to stand naked in it, daring to feel what's present, and then inviting each other to the very center of that. Because yes, it is where we meet our fears. Yes, it is where we sometimes need a reflection. Sometimes we simply need to get on our legs. We need to fully align ourselves and acknowledge that that which is my living reality right now, it's overwhelming. I feel helpless, I feel that this, like that, and the other thing. But at the center of that, when I can feel these feelings, I can get up. And I can stand and I can be real. But to the extent that we collapse and start lying to ourselves or run in these emotional circles or like all of these ways that we have to avoid being with reality, in that, our integrity is that which protects all of us, in a way. Yeah. And in that, I must say also that it seems to me that when we give up this playing ball with each other like that, we also come to a level of self-love where we respect our own joy. We respect our own joy enough to not keep playing games with whatever is playing games. We meet our solitude and our togetherness in exactly the same way. And we're not afraid to let this happen, and we're not afraid to let this happen. We're just allowing life without the dishonesty of trying to manipulate anything.
Thank you.
Might as well say it now. The core of what you are, the core of what you're becoming, is extremely intense, extremely hot. It's pure power, it's pure passion. It's completely free. It's uncontrived. And deeply vulnerable. You're all of that. You don't have to be strong to not be vulnerable. You can be strong in your vulnerability instead. You can flick the deck at any given point in time if you're not invested in any of it. It can be all of it or none of it. But most of all, you can just be the gift that you are as this human being. There's nothing to fear. There is no amount of cracking open that can kill you off. There's no amount of letting go that can bring you to an end. The more you let go, the more you realize that the beginning is right here, it's right now. It's not what you believe, it's not what you think, it's not even what you feel in the sense that any feeling sticks. Just this.